Welcome to my channel. I'm Madeline Reads, and today we're just doing a weekly update of what I've been reading for the week. I will say that I definitely did not read as much as I usually do this week. It is that time of the month where I have to travel for work, and it was pretty brutal this week, I've got to say. I went from somewhere that's warm for like Canadian standards of -3 all the way to somewhere that was -20, got caught in a little bit of a blizzard, and it was just a lot. Luckily, I wasn't scared in the moment because there's nowhere to stop in the part that it was worse. It's like cliffside or just filled with snow. There's nowhere to turn off. It's also avalanche area. So luckily, it wasn't too bad in the moment. I just think when I got there, I was just done, just exhausted for the rest of the few days I was there. And it was so cold that my door actually like froze on the way there. Like I had to use my shoulder to get it open. So I think one, I didn't read as much. Two, even when I was reading, I wasn't enjoying what I was reading that much just because of my own mood. So eventually I just like stopped because it wasn't fair to the books. I was just grumpy. So maybe take what I say in this with a grain of salt. I do think though, now that I'm back home, back in my schedule, and even talking about it will give me a better perspective on how I'm actually enjoying these books. I'm glad though I stopped reading some of these because I was definitely going to ruin the reading experience that I was really enjoying in the moment. So let's see how this goes. If I'm a little bit negative, that's probably why. I'm still enjoying all these books though. There's not a book that I'm not liking. I'm just not like loving it right now, and I didn't finish any of them. So let's start with the first one. It is my sci-fi choice, and it is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein. As usual, I'm pretty split when I read Robert A. Heinlein, although I do like a lot of his books. I do also kind of hate him, if I'm being honest. He puts a lot of his own ideologies into the book, and me and him disagree. He's a libertarian, and there's a few other things he does in this book and many other books that frankly just annoy me. On the other hand, though, he's great at writing technology, and some of his viewpoints are interesting and at least get a conversation starting in my head, so I do really enjoy that. That being said, he is also problematic at times. Even with Stranger in a Strange Land, one that I love, one that I've tabbed, there are tabs for things that I really like. There's a tab for things that like, I disagree with you there, but like I like the conversation. But then there's also a red tag, which is just like, what the fuck? What are we doing, Robert A. Heinlein? You're kind of an ass. So that's always how I feel when I read his books. This one, probably with my mood, I'm just even grumpier with him. This one is about the penal lunar colony that's trying to revolt against Earth. It follows a couple of revolutionaries and a supercomputer named Mike. Now, I'm split because Mike actually might be my favorite supercomputer AI ever written. Even better than Hal on 2001 Space Odyssey. I'm really enjoying that part of the book. I'm enjoying some of the conversation around revolutions and things like that, although I will say I'm not that far into this book. I'm a little less than 50%. What I'm not enjoying is Robert A. Heinlein's, once again, fascination with polyamorous relationships. He does this a lot in his books. I'm not against polyamory itself. I am against the way he writes it. He writes it as still very gender strict rules and still like a traditional marriage. Very much sounds like someone who wants freedom for themselves, but not for other people, which I disagree with. I think his books would hit a lot harder if he was just a little bit more open-minded. He's not the only one that does this, though. Arthur C. Clarke also has that in Rendezvous with Rama, which I think distracts from the story as a whole. So I really hate when they do this. And it's like, if you guys wanted to do it so badly, you could have just done it. You know who did have a polyamorous relationship? Wilkie Collins in the 1800s, and he was still able to write really feminist, very strong women. So not really understanding their obsession with it. I don't think it is as big of a problem as I'm making it out to be. It's just an ongoing problem I have with Robert A. Heinlein, and because I had a bad week, it was just annoying me. I will say though, there is one major flaw. I don't care what time period this was written in. There's no reason for it. But some of the brides in this book are 15, and to me, and should be for everyone, that's a major flaw. So again, I think he's very good at writing technology about political themes, even if I disagree with him. But again, his relationship with women, I really dislike. Next, we have Jamaican Inn. This is about Mary Yellen. She moves to Jamaican Inn to live with her aunt and her uncle, only to find out that the inn is filled with many dark, dark secrets. And she wants to try to escape, but she has to do it with her aunt. So she kind of gets entangled in this dark mystery. I will say with this book, I think the atmosphere of it is incredible. She writes this dark countryside very, very well. I feel like I'm there. And I do like the dark secrets within Jamaican Inn. However, there is kind of this subplot of romance that I just don't understand. I liked the dark brooding man in Jane Eyre. However, this one, I don't know. I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. It's pretty rushed, and I think it just detracts from the whole story, at least at the point that I'm in it right now. I am just a little less than 50%. So maybe it makes more sense to the plot going forward. She would just get back to the secrets of the inn and just focus on that. Next, we have A Manual for Cleaning Women by Lucia Berlin. This is a short story collection, and I must say, even though I don't love it as much as other people have, I would highly recommend this to anyone. She is an exceptional writer. There are some 5 stars already in this story, and even some of the stories I didn't like, I think will stick with me for a very long time. She writes very harrowing stories. She's lived a very complex life, many highs, many lows, and they're all in this book. I think my hesitation, or why I'm liking it but not loving it, is just frankly how I'm reading it. I think because it's one author and it's kind of her life, I'm trying to read this more as like biographical than short stories. So in my mind, I'm trying to read each story as if it's a linear story, and it's not. Each story is its standalone. It's in different time periods in history. So I'm getting annoyed with the structure, but that's my own fault. I think what I should do and how I enjoy it better is if I only read a couple stories every day or here and there, so that I'm actually focusing on that one story and the merit of that one story. I think I would enjoy the stories more if I did it that way. Also, there's just a lot of collections in here for one author, so of course some are going to be stronger than others, and none of them are very long, so even the ones that aren't as strong, it's okay. There's still a lot here that is exceptional. Also, another thing I think is just holds me back from personally really loving this is that she does suffer from alcoholism, or did suffer from alcoholism, and so some of the stories really focus on that part in her life, and I just personally don't like reading stories about addiction. Just something that's personal that I don't enjoy, so that's another reason why some of these stories might not hit as hard for me as for other people. But I'm looking forward to reading the rest of these, and I think again, maybe if I only read 2 or 4 of them at a time, I could really love this. I will definitely pick this up. I do want to keep collections that have 5-star stories in them, and I also just love this color. I think everyone should give this a try, especially if you're a short stories person. I think this is an incredible read. Lastly, I was listening to an audiobook called The Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This one is absolutely fantastic. Maybe one of my favorite fantasies, especially in the last few years that I've read. This one I could have finished this week, but because I knew I was in a bad mood, I kind of just stopped the audiobook with an hour left because I didn't want my mood to ruin a book that I've been absolutely loving. This is a kind of loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin that is a Grimm's tale about a magical imp who turns straw into gold for a firstborn child. In this one, you have 3 main point of views. You have Miriam. She is the daughter of a money launderer, but he's not very good at his job. So she ends up taking over because she's sick of seeing her mother sick and them suffering in poverty. So she takes over. She does such a good job that she's actually able to brag that she can turn silver into gold, which ends up being a very unfortunate brag because it gains the attention of a magical fae-like creatures called the Stark. The Stark then want to take her, make a deal with her to turn silver into gold for them for her life. Through this, she kind of intertwines two other women into this story. You have Wanda. Wanda is a farm girl that comes to work for her to pay off her father's debt, and she ends up roped into this to help her. Then you have Arina, the daughter of a duke who is set up to marry the Tsar, hiding a very terrible secret. And together they join forces to change the realm. This is a very well-told story with a lot of different depth. It deals with greed, it deals with morality, and I've been really loving it. This is the kind of fantasy, this magical fantasy world that I really enjoy. Highly recommend it to anyone, and I like it so much. I've looked up kind of her backlist. There's another book called Uprooted that is even more beloved, so you'll probably see that on a TBR shortly. So really enjoying this, highly recommend it to anyone. Can't wait to finish it this week now that I'm in a better mood. I think this is definitely going to be a 4.5 stars. The only reason it's not quite a 5 right now is because although there's 3 point of views, there are a few others sprinkled in, and I just think there's too many. Specifically, there's one point of view I don't like, and a really major scene was told through their perspective, and that annoyed me a little bit. I wish it was just from those threes, but overall, this is a fantastic story. Those are all the books I'm reading this week. I have been enjoying the books. Little hiccup with my travel this week, but now I'm back in town. Don't have to travel for a while, so I'm really looking forward to finishing these books, and I bet by the next time we talk, I'll actually love a lot of these stories a lot more. If you have any comments about this book, any opinions about these books, leave them down below. I'd love to hear them. See you in the next one.